Another person recognize the logo.
Yeah, got to be posting there more too, in addition to everywhere else. But welcome back to another Wisco Fanatics Wednesday. We have 6 Milwaukee Brewer games to talk about. No Bucks content today. We've covered pretty much everything we can cover for the last 4 weeks. We went through all the draft picks, all the financials, potential transactions, stuff we'd like to see from the roster construction all over the last 4 weeks. So check that out. I'm going to be making that into one just video of its own. But until that is out, check out our 4 previous shows where we discussed all those things after our Brewers recaps. Today is just Brewers, 6 games to talk about. We have 2 series at home. The Brewers went 1-2 in both, and we are going to recap all 6 games after the intro.
Welcome to another episode of the Wisco Fanatics Show, where we cover the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, and Badgers basketball and football teams from an optimistic and realistic perspective.
Wisco Fanatics is brought to you by Cardboard Legacy, Wisconsin's most complete sports card shop. Buy, sell, grade, and consign all at their location in Oshkosh.
So before we start talking about the Brewers, I just want to throw out a quick I told you so out there from Jake and I to anybody who has ever watched ESPN in the last month and a half. Giannis isn't going anywhere.
Nope.
Never was. And there's no Giannis is coming back. He's been here. Hasn't gone anywhere to have anywhere to come back from.
I mean, he's in Brazil technically, but
I mean, he can physically come back, but
yeah,
he was never gone from Milwaukee to need to be coming back to the Bucks. He's just been here. Justin, welcome back. Just wanted to throw that out there, just because it's really, really sad because ESPN / SportsCenter was a major inspiration for what has become Wisco Fanatics. It was the inspiration when we were in high school of what we wanted to do by having our own sports show only for Wisconsin. And that ended up becoming Wisco Fanatics. And what ESPN has become now is it's just sad. It's sad. We went from the days where SportsCenter was on all day, and then you came home and you watched Around the Horn and Pardon the Interruption, and they had actual good stuff on ESPN. Now it's how many people can we put on 2 sides of a table and have them argue, and how long will people watch it for? And then how much clickbait can we drum up to have conversations in these hypotheticals that aren't going to happen based on reports that did not come from great sources or came from sources so far removed from the actual sources that it's just a waste of time.
What's that one dude's name? Gary Wolfel or whatever?
Yeah.
Dude, don't listen to that guy. And this just leans right into Justin's first comment. All you had to do was listen to Giannis talk, dude. Honestly, that's all you had to do to find out any information you wanted to know about Giannis leaving. Just listen to him talk. He will tell you the answer. One way or the other, you're going to get your answer. And that goes for any sports situation when a guy wants to leave or is having contract disputes. There's that whole situation with the Bengals going on right now with Shamar Stewart and Trey Hendrickson. I mean, dude, all you got to do is listen to these guys talk. They're going to tell you how they feel. They're human beings.
Yeah.
They make a lot of money. They're super talented. They're super tall, all that stuff. Just listen to them talk. That's all it was for me. Is I'm going to take what this guy says because it's his life over some dude trying to drum up a couple hundred views. Good job.
Steve said woeful. It's the thing with Shams, and we said this as soon as the report was made that Giannis was quote-unquote open-minded to potentially playing somewhere else. We said this. It's not based on a source close to Giannis. It's based on, quote, league sources believe that Giannis might be open-minded to playing somewhere else. Giannis never said that. That's why, fuck's sake, ESPN got rid of so many journalists in favor of, like Justin said, talking heads with little sports knowledge and just personal opinions. I will level with you. There are some former players who are very good at transitioning to the media after they're done with their playing careers. JJ Redick is a fantastic example.
Yeah.
JJ Redick was really good. That dude put Stephen A in his place more times than you could count.
Also, he actually discussed basketball, schemes.
Yes. So there are plenty of examples of guys that I would listen to who were former players. Then there's guys on these TV shows that it's like you can tell they're here for paychecks, like Kendrick Perkins.
Oh, the worst.
And I'm bummed that Shams going to ESPN has turned him into a click chaser. It's sad because Shams was a great reporter, and now he's employed by ESPN, and his quality already in one off season is let's jump on the train that ESPN wants Giannis out of Milwaukee.
Yeah, and then no, and then they don't ever have any reputable sources on anything. Like they're starting to pivot towards the Kevin Durant stuff now because the Giannis stuff is getting shut down.
That's exactly what it is. It's exactly what's happening.
It's like, dude, you don't even have any. I mean, it's obvious that Phoenix is going to want to try to move Durant. He's the only one that has trade value outside of Devin Booker.
Right.
But why are they not talking about Devin Booker leaving?
There's been a couple things where it's like the Pistons should trade for Devin Booker, the Spurs should trade for Devin Booker.
They should not. He wants to leave, and I understand
minimal.
There's a history of that, but still,
it's not Devin Booker needs to leave Phoenix so that he has a chance to win.
Yeah,
it's not happening to Jokic in Denver. It's not happening to Embiid in Philly. It's not happening to Luka and LeBron in LA.
They just hate seeing a superstar in Milwaukee, dude, and I don't understand it.
So. Steve said ESPN's a joke. It's really sad how far it's fallen in the last 15 years.
Really bad, dude.
Steve asked which former superstar said that Giannis should stay put. It was Dwight Howard.
Shaq also said something.
And so did Charles Barkley.
Yep.
Shaq and Charles Barkley all said good things. Kevin Durant kind of said something when he was asked like what it would take to trade for Giannis. And he said 4 of your starting 5 and 6 picks. Justin said he believes Bigfoot's real and that he's immortal. He can't live all those years without being. And I 100% tell the truth 60% of the time.
Talking about another show that ESPN is going to ruin, on top of them ruining Shams, they're about to ruin the Inside the NBA show. They're about to do it so bad, bro. Just let it be. Just let it be. It's good entertainment. Even if they don't, they have some good ball knowledge. Let's not kid ourselves. But they play that one game where they have to guess who the guy is. And sometimes Charles Barkley doesn't know who the guy played for or his name and stuff like that. That's funny. That's good entertainment. Right. Just leave it how it is.
So as far as ESPN goes, like I said, it basically becomes a waste of time.
Yeah.
Because you spent a month of not only your time, but your viewers' time talking about, what could a Giannis to the Knicks trade package look like? What could a Giannis trade package to the Rockets look like? What could a Giannis trade package to the Spurs look like? We did that in 45 minutes 4 weeks ago. And we said Giannis isn't getting traded. And we went through 15 teams in less than an hour.
That's half the league.
ESPN's been dragging this shit out for a month.
Mm-hmm.
We've said it before when it comes to certain topics, but clickbaity shit is another one of them where we take our viewership very seriously.
Mm-hmm.
We take the perception of our show and our pages very seriously. We don't want to put out clickbait. That's why we don't make posts all day, every day, because we take what we post seriously. We want it to be informative and interesting. We don't want it to be like, how many views can we get on this if we say we think Giannis should be traded so that the Bucks can rebuild? That's not what we're doing. So we want to make sure that what we are doing is quality. And Taylor said mass amount of people need to stop watching and interacting with ESPN as well as talking about them. It's the quality has gone absolutely off a cliff. They built it up because they had great people on it. And their quality of their people has gone down dramatically. Steve said credit to Giannis to not be persuaded to leave based off some trumped up reports. That's been like that since 2019. He said others would fall for that trap. His roots help with his loyalty. And we've discussed that tons and tons and tons of times, that him being an international star helps that for a small market.
Well, that and another big thing that people are not going to remember in this totality of mess that ESPN created is immediately after the Bucks lost that terrible game to Indiana, his wife made a post of her and the kids standing in the forum wearing Giannis in the Bucks jersey, and she wrote some really inspirational stuff. I don't want to mess it up because it was a great post. But that's going to be something where him at home having a good woman with kids, and that could be something that helped him stay in Milwaukee as well. So we have to show her love too, because they do a lot of good stuff for the community.
Yeah.
And, they've given a lot of diapers away to families in need over the last couple of years, donated money to a lot of stuff. I mean, Giannis and his family, you need to add his wife into that consideration because, dude, they have been phenomenal for this state and that city.
His mom too, I would put in that as well.
Yeah.
Justin said hypotheticals are fun, but there's got to be a point where you draw the line and say it doesn't make sense. And that's like last week, we just went through a bunch of hypotheticals, but we are also like trying to make it make sense. Like we're not saying that, the Bucks should trade for Kevin Durant and then, sign John Morant and, and then we'll have them with Giannis and then we have Damian Lillard and then, we'll trade for Evan Mobley for 2 second-round picks. Like we're trying to do stuff that actually does make sense. The guys that we were talking about in our potential transactions last week, like trying to make it make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris, thanks for commenting. He said peak at ESPN was when you guys, being Jake and I, were sophomores, and we sat in the lunchroom at the tables watching the last 15 minutes of each morning show on SportsCenter and the top 10 plays prior to school starting each day. Take me back.
Oh.
Dude, every day, all day, every day, we had SportsCenter on all day, every day. And I can't tell you the last time that I tuned into an ESPN show because none of it is appealing to me. Like now that Around the Horn is gone and Pardon the Interruption ended, like ESPN's got nothing for me except for games.
Yeah.
There's nothing there that draws me in anymore.
Yeah, that's the only thing you tune in for now is some games, some football. Obviously, with Monday Night Football, you got some baseball every once in a while with the Brewers. Then, I mean, they're going to shove the Yankees and the Phillies and the Dodgers in our face, which I'm not going to watch because I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
If I want to watch them, I can just pick a random Wednesday and I can just watch one of those teams. But, and then, sometimes with the basketball. But even now, even as great as Giannis is, actually, this is a great point. I just walked myself into this great point. They want to talk about Giannis all offseason. But as soon as the one day that used to be yours, which was Christmas, they're going to take him off.
Yeah.
Tell me how much sense that makes. That makes 0 sense to me, dude. Oh, we have this really good guy that we can market, but we're just not going to play him on the most viewed day of our season. Like, dude, that's when everybody proclaims that the NBA regular season starts as Christmas.
Justin said, RIP to Stuart Scott. I have his book, and I have the ESPN book. Steve said watching ESPN was ritualistic 20 years ago. It was for us too. And to get back on track, like that's what I was saying about us is that ESPN and SportsCenter were the inspiration of what we are now. So listen to local journalists, watch the Wisco Fanatics show, and turn off ESPN.
And share the Wisco Fanatics show.
And do that as well. Yes. Help us reach more people. So, that being said, we have 6 Brewer games to talk about, and not the most exciting week of baseball, but us being the optimistic and realistic guys, we're just going to break it down like it is. So, we can start with Game 1 of the Padres series. Now, Chad Patrick pitched today and the first game of the Padres series. He got in trouble in the beginning of the game, got a strikeout, had 1 on with 2 outs, gets another strikeout. Great work by Chad Patrick. His stuff played well. The exit velocity in the 3rd inning when he gave up a run, 45.1, 73.5, an 82.0 pop out, and then 91.5. So he didn't give up a lot of strong contact. We'll see when we get to today, similar numbers. He finished 6 innings pitched, something he's had trouble with at times this year, so I wanted to give him a shout out for that. Jackson Chourio hitting the ball hard all over the place, just not quite deep enough for home runs or right at outfielders. It is what it is. Brewers struggling with runners in scoring position. Game 1 of this series, 1-9 through 7 innings. The 1 was a Christian Yelich infield single. Jake Bowers was 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts out of those 9. Top of the 7th, Grant Anderson did some really good work, had 2nd and 3rd with 1 out. Strikes out Fernando Tatis and gets Luis Arias to ground out. And that's 2 very good hitters. So credit to Grant Anderson for working through that. He doesn't have overpowering stuff, but his arm angle is very deceptive. So shout out to Grant Anderson for that. Then the Brewers getting behind too much in the count versus the starting pitcher, 10 out of 20. 10 out of 20 times they were behind in the count. 3 out of the 4 versus the reliever were ahead on every batter. 3 out of 4 relievers were ahead of every batter they faced.
Jesus.
And the Brewers had 37 at-bats in game 1. You want to guess how many 0-2 counts they were in?
31.
0-2?
Yeah.
Just 0-2. Not 2 strike counts, literally only 0-2.
Okay. 17.
It was 12.
Oh, I thought it was going to be hot. I
That's
thought it was
still
going to be
a lot of times to be down 0-2. That's a third of your at-bats, you're down 0-2.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Basically a third of your at-bats.
Mhm.
You look at the Brewers, when they were down 0-2, they were 1 for 11. There was a walk, Christian Yelich's infield single. The walk was also Christian Yelich, and then they had 6 strikeouts. So falling behind in the count just can't happen. Christian Yelich did extend his hitting streak to 12 for this game, but kind of the only silver lining for game 1 of that Padres series. What stood out to you?
Yeah, so talking about the pitching was pretty good. I mean, Patrick, like you said, he was very good. Koenig was good. Ashby was phenomenal in his 1-inning pitch at 3 Ks. But just talking about, the Brewers just, and this is kind of the theme of the week, they just couldn't get the big hit except the one time this week, obviously, which we're going to talk about next. But, in the Brewers pitching, so Machado had the homer in the 8th, and Arias got an 0-2 fastball, single RBI in the 3rd, right? Those are the 2 runs that the Padres ended up scoring. In between all of that stuff, so in the 3rd inning, Brewers pitching only gave up one hit, a single. Patrick gave that up. That was one of the 4 hits that he gave up. In the 5th inning, 0 hits. 6th inning, 0 hits. 7th inning, they gave up 2 hits. They gave up a double and a single. Robsy gave those up, and then Anderson 1K in his inning and 1 hit on a run. In the 8th inning, they got the home run from Machado, and in the 9th inning, 0 hits, 3 Ks. Ashby got a strikeout on the curveball, the slider, and the changeup. So strikeout on 3 different pitches. So that's good stuff from him. Really, like I said, dude, this is just one of those games where the Brewers just couldn't get the big hit. They had 4 hits. They had 6 walks. So they had 10 people on compared to the 8 strikeouts that they had. So they had opportunities. 6 walks is a lot of people to put on base just with walks. Just couldn't get the hit to get a guy in. Why are we flexing Manny?
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy. I agree. I was gonna say that. I didn't know how. Fuck that guy. Like, really, fuck that.
Yeah.
I hate that fucking guy.
People are like, the Brewers are still holding on to something from 2018. Yes, fuck that guy.
Dude, I'm still holding on to hate for Brett Favre. Fuck that motherfucker, dude. If Jair goes to the Vikings, dude, I'm gonna kick his ass too. Anyways, that's besides the point. The Padres had 8 hits and 3 walks, so they had 1 more person on, but they got 2 hits when they needed to get 2 hits. The Padres, by the way, I don't know if people know this, they're a phenomenal baseball team.
I don't know if I go so far as to say phenomenal.
Dude, they have star power.
They're pretty good.
They're like built for the playoffs. That's how I view them.
They have to build the way that they have because they're in the division with the Dodgers.
Yeah, I mean they're dude. They got pretty much everything that you need to. They are one of the teams that I think could win the NL this year, in my opinion. I mean, if Fernando Tatis, he's a superstar. As much as we don't like him, Manny Machado is a really good baseball player. Arias is probably the best contact hitter in baseball. They got a really good lineup. That doesn't even talk about their Jackson that they have. He's pretty good. I mean, they got some good players over there. And they got Maldonado. So I mean, they're pretty good.
Probably could have left Maldonado out of it, but
he's a good defensive catcher. He calls a good game. That's all I'm saying.
All right, let's do from game 2.
Game 2. So we go into game 2. We got Quintana on the bump. He gives you 5 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run ball. That's all you can ask for, right? That's why we signed this guy. We're like, this guy's going to give us 5 innings every 5 days.
And honestly, his command wasn't the best, and he still only gave up 1 earned run.
Yeah, it's been back-to-back starts where his command was a little shaky in my opinion, but it is what it is. I have some numbers I'd like to go over. So Contreras in this game, 2 for 4 in a run. Durbin, 2 for 4, 1 run, 1 RBI. Obviously, he had the walk-off homer at the end. His second career homer is a walk-off home run, so that's phenomenal because it took Yelly 214 home runs before he hit his first walk-off homer. Wanted to add that in there. He's up to 217 now. Isaac Collins, he's been playing some pretty decent baseball. There's an account on I believe it's on X, but they go over who has the best jumps and who's the best at noticing fly balls and stuff. And Collins is leading that right now. He has the best jumps, covers the most feet per foot speed. There's a lot of weird stats in baseball, but he was 2 for 2, had a run, an RBI, and 2 walks, so he was on base 4 times. So good for him. Have some numbers on some guys here. So Mears, 3 straight really good outings for him. The rest has done him really, really well. He's taken his ERA in the last 3 outings that he's had from 274 to 242. So his ERA is starting to look a lot better. Uribe, after this game, 6 straight good, clean outings for him. He's looking really good. In those 6 outings, he's had 2 hits, 6 Ks, and 0 walks. His ERA was already good, but he went from 1.65 to 1.48, so he's looking really good. And Koenig, a guy that we were kind of getting a little bit worried about, he's had 6 straight really good outings as well. His ERA went from 3.91 to 3.38, so that's minus 0.53. So that's big in the ERA department, especially at this part of the year to go down, 0.53 in the ERA is really good. So he's been phenomenal. McGill, he had his second blown save in this one, but
I'm going to talk about him.
We'll talk about him. I'll let you troll most of that situation. But in terms of RBIs, Bowers, Hoskins, obviously Durbin, and Collins got a 2-out RBI in this game on top of going 2 for 2 and being on base 4 times. So exciting game, a win that they needed to get, and they got the win when they got a hit when they needed a hit, right?
Yeah, literally on the first pitch, which is sweet.
Yep.
He's got some pop. We've talked about it. He's got some pop.
Yeah.
Seeing DL Hall catching it too was awesome.
Yeah.
But looking at Caleb Durbin from May 1st to May 20th, he was batting .098, the 193 on base percentage, a 118 slug, and a 311 OPS. It's pretty rough.
Yeah.
Then from May 21st through June 7th, he's batting .302 with a 356 on base percentage, a 491 slug, and an 846 OPS.
That's better.
That is awesome.
That's
More
better.
of that, please, Caleb.
Yes, I agree.
Now, Brewers had a couple of chances to score. The first chance that they had to score was dashed, unfortunately, by a Sal Frelick chopper that just kind of rolled fair. That even if he does notice that it rolls fair, he's probably still thrown out at first base anyways. So I don't think anybody needs to be like, oh my God, Sal, hustle out of the box. It's like, he probably would have been out anyways.
Yeah.
Then the Brewers get first and third with 1 out in the bottom of the 7th inning, and Jake Bowers is put in for Joey Ortiz versus a right-handed reliever, gets a sac fly, ties the game. Bottom of the 8th inning, the Brewers did grab a lead. Sal Frelick reached on a catcher's interference, which, in my opinion, was a little unlucky. Christian Yelich and William Contreras were running a double steal, and the shortstop ran to second base. It opened up a massive hole because Manny Machado ran to third base, opened up a massive hole. And the reason that Sal was able to draw the catcher's interference is because he had his bat dragged, and he was trying to slap the ball to the opposite field. There's a huge gap there.
Mm-hmm.
That would have produced a run. Now, Rhys Hoskins hit a sac fly and Isaac Collins hit a single, so it didn't really matter. Those 2 runs still scored. But, those two hits could have produced maybe a 4th run, and then Trevor McGill doesn't maybe have a blown save. Now,
point actually.
We talked about Trevor McGill. You and I talked about it a lot, that he was having trouble throwing some strikes, and you brought up a good point that he needs his pitches to set each other up.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to be able to throw his fastball for strikes so that he can get ahead of counts, so he can get guys chasing his curveball.
Mm-hmm.
Or he needs to be able to occasionally land his curveball for strikes to make guys think about it, and then be able to throw high fastballs that are out of the zone and get guys chasing there.
Yep.
Now, there was a couple pitches that could have been called strikes that weren't. One ended up as a single that should have been a K, could have been a K, and then another one to Luis Arias. And 23 pitches, 13 strikes, even if it's 15, only 2 out of 6 of the batters that he faced were first pitch strikes.
Mm-hmm.
And, I said to you, I'm like, Abner Uribe is our closer of the future. Should he be our closer of now, or should the Brewers stick with Trevor McGill at closer? And I said to you, it's possible that Abner Uribe ends up being the Brewers closer before the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go fact check myself. So I did this. And I need to pump the brakes because Trevor McGill is still really good. So I pulled up the numbers. Again, fact checking myself, and I need to pump the brakes.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at zone percentage, Trevor McGill's at 50.1%. The MLB average is 48.7%. So he's still at above average for pitches in the zone. The zone contact percentage, Trevor McGill is giving up 85.7. The league average is 82.1. So he is a little high there. First pitch strike percentage, the MLB average is 61.1. Trevor McGill is at 70%.
Mm.
That's where I really started to feel like, okay, I need to pump the brakes on saying Abner should be the closer, and we should move Trevor to setup.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it stood out to the second game of the Padres series was more of an outlier than a rule for him. Looking at walks per 9 innings, Trevor McGill is 25th in Major League Baseball. There's tons of relievers. Every team has like 8. So you think of that times 30 teams, you're talking like 240 relievers. Trevor McGill is 25th at 506. So if Trevor McGill pitched 9 innings, he'd give up 5 walks. That's kind of high. We talked about this with a lot of Brewers pitchers. Opportunity is to get the walks down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just want to throw this out there. Nick Mears is the 4th lowest at 104. So shout out Nick Mears.
That guy, there's a reason that Murphy trusts him. He goes in there and he throws strikes.
Dude, he's so good. I'm still riding high. Now I looked at Abner Uribe. His zone percentage is 55.3, so he's throwing more pitches in the zone than Trevor McGill, but both of them are still above league average. Mm-hmm. He's throwing 72.8 first pitch strikes, 72.8 zone contact, which is 13% lower than Trevor McGill. Mm-hmm. Abner Uribe gets the swing and misses. His fastball slider pairing is elite. I talked about it last week. Both of those pitches are elite. Mm-hmm. But the first pitch strikes is where the big difference comes in. So I told you Trevor McGill's is 70. League average is 61.1. Abner Uribe's is 58.3. So we need Abner getting ahead more often to consider that change. Now, looking at strikeouts to walks, Abner Uribe has 3.42 strikeouts per walk, which is good. Nick Mears is 7.0 to 1. Damn. 7 Ks per walk that he gives up. Damn, Nick Mears is a stud. If looking up Trevor McGill and Abner Uribe didn't just make me appreciate Nick Mears even more.
I appreciate that.
Looking at the Brewers team for the difference between walk percentage and strikeout percentage, Abner Uribe is plus 23.8 in strikeout percentage compared to his walk percentage. Nick Mears is plus 19.4, so he's really great there. Jared Koenig is plus 13.8, and Trevor McGill is only plus 10.9%. So, again, I am still probably leaning Abner Uribe as the Brewers closer of the future, but sticking with Trevor McGill as the closer of now. He just needs to get the walks down. That's really where I'm at. And the second game of the Padres series, to me, was more of an outlier where he gave up 2 out of 6 first pitch strikes, and he just needs to get ahead so that his stuff plays better.
Agreed.
Now, the last couple things that I had from Brewers Padres game 2 is Christian Yelich hit streak did end, but he was on base 3 times.
Yep.
He was 0 for 1 with 3 walks.
Yeah.
So it took 13 games for teams to be like, all right, yeah, we're not pitching to that guy. We're not going to give him anything close to swing at.
Yeah.
So Brewers Padres game 3, what stood out to you from that one?
Well, obviously the thing that stands out is Brewers score 0 again, and the Padres score 1, and they get the one hit that they need, and the Brewers struggle to get the hit. And it's just one of those things where so I'm just going to go to my totality notes that I have. So the Brewers had 16 hits in the series, and they had 17 walks.
Damn.
That's a lot of walks. They only scored 4 runs in the series, obviously being shut out twice.
Yep.
And they only had 19 strikeouts. And when you consider that they had, what game was it where they had 15 or something like that? Was that the game 1? No, it was 8 Ks that they had. Yeah, I'm looking at my other notes with the Atlanta where they had a bunch of strikeouts. But, 19 strikeouts in a 3-game series isn't that bad when you consider that they had 33 people on base.
Yeah, you're talking 6 per game.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I'll take that all day. I'll take anything under 10.
Yeah, right? And then you look at the Padres, and the Padres had 19 hits and 9 walks, so they're at 28. They also had 28 strikeouts, so they're dead even, and they scored 6 runs just because they got a couple clutch hits. So when I came away from the series, I'm just like, the Brewers can play with the Padres. And we've already beat.
For the Brewers to hold the Padres to 2-3-1, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about it at the top of this series. They have legit hitters.
Yeah.
Brewers they just need to score more runs. They obviously had the traffic. It's just one of those things where the offense needed the consistency. They had the stacked traffic, just really an outlier series. And the numbers show it. And I'll give you the statistic right now just because we're on the subject of stacking traffic, and 33 base runners that you just said.
Mm-hmm.
The Brewers have been shut out with 10 plus left on base 6 times in the last 10 years. 3 of them have happened in the last month.
Yep.
2 of them happened in this series.
Yeah.
Which were Sunday and Friday. The other one was then they left 11 on base on May 12th against the Cleveland Guardians. So they stacked traffic. It's just an outlier series of not bringing them in.
Yep.
So I didn't freak out about the series. It's just keep getting guys on base. You'll get them.
Yep. In terms of how Freddie was phenomenal. 6 innings pitched, 1 hit, 0 earned runs, 2 walks, and 3 Ks. Little less on the Ks, a little more in the innings, and I'm okay with that because Freddie was really good. San Diego had 1 hit through 6 innings. They were no hit through 5. The first batter of the 6th inning got a hit. 1 mistake pitch by Rob Z. Coming in for Freddie. Now, I want to talk a little bit more on Freddie. Freddie had 3 straight appearances of over 100 pitches. 3 straight. So I was like, you know what? I see a lot of people talking about, is 90 pitches really too much for your ace? So I wanted to look into it. After this game, Freddie Peralta has 1,334 pitches on the season. Now I'm just doing the most basic math that you could possibly do because these guys have some advanced shit that they look at.
Mm-hmm.
He has 77 innings. So if you do some math, excuse me, that's 5.5 innings per game, right? And he's averaging 17.3 pitches per inning.
Okay.
So if you multiply the 17.3 times 5.5, that's 95 pitches per start. He was at 90. It was time to take him out. Basic math, and I figured it out, dude. Obviously, they're going to have to look at some matchup stuff, third time through the order kind of stuff. But me just doing some simple math, I came to a conclusion that they made a good decision. And Rob Z has been good in these situations before. So, many times he's a hitter.
There's more that goes into this even more. So, Manny Machado was the guy coming up to bat.
Mm-hmm.
And Pat Murphy puts in a left-handed pitcher because after Manny Machado, there's 2 left-handed batters coming up, being Jackson Merrill and Gavin Sheets.
Yep.
So do you put a righty in to try to get Machado out and then have to deal with a righty-lefty matchup for the next 2 guys? Or do you put a lefty in, try to get out Manny Machado with a lefty?
Yep.
Or do you leave Freddie Peralta in? So that's the question. Is Freddie Peralta pulled early? But you look at the numbers for Manny Machado, and the third time through a starting pitcher, Manny Machado's batting over 300.
Yep.
Versus left-handed pitchers, batting over 300. Do you put a righty in, and again, hope you get Machado out, and then set the Padres up with 2 good matchups after that? What do you do? With the 3-batter minimum, you can't put a righty in for Machado and then bring in Rob Z. What do you do?
Yep.
So you have to make one of the choices. And Murphy acknowledged that he didn't make the right one, which is fine. Like I'm not even mad at the decision that he made. It just didn't work out for the Brewers.
Yep.
But the two things that need to be discussed here are the 3-batter minimum, the numbers that Manny Machado had, so I guess 3 things. But what I came to the conclusion of is credit Mike Schilt, the Padres manager, for making a good lineup.
Yep.
That's what this situation boils down to. And as Brewers fans, being on the receiving end of it, it's a bummer because the Brewers lost the game. But the respect here goes to the Padres manager for setting up a smart batting order.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong, in my opinion, with giving credit to your opponent where it's due. Because the Padres lineup put the Brewers in a really, really tough spot. And a very difficult decision to be made for Pat Murphy.
Yeah.
So that's where I ended up on that. Anything else you wanted to say about the Padres series?
It kind of gave me a little bit of like Phillies series vibes last year, where they only gave up like 6 runs and lost all 3 games. It's like kind of the same thing where I felt last year the Brewers could play with the Phillies. I feel like the Brewers could play with the Padres. That'd be a fun playoff series.
I'm down for that. Okay, so, and they were still able to take 1 out of 3.
Yeah.
Brewers Braves. So we're starting with Monday's game. What's it out to you from Monday's game?
Chris Sale is like really fucking good, dude.
It's dude. He's got to be like the reigning Cy Young winner or something.
He's so fucking good, dude. Like he
For anybody who's
honestly
listening to this and isn't sure, yes, Chris Sale is the reigning NL Cy Young winner.
He is the reigning NL Cy Young. He just the Braves were reeling. They're a team that was, they lost like what was it, 7 or 8 games in a row or whatever coming in.
I think it was 8.
They had just got Ronald Acuna Jr. back. I mean, and now with him coming back, all the other hitters are starting to hit a little bit more. I mean, Austin Riley is still having a pretty good year, but overall, that Braves team is starting to gain some momentum. And if we're the first team in the way of that locomotive coming through, it's going to happen to other people too, because this Braves lineup is starting to hit their stride, in my opinion. But Chris Sale
will do that.
Chris Sale acted like an ace. He acted like a Cy Young winner. He went up there when his team needed him, and he just shoved.
I put in my notes that Chris Sale was not the site for sore eyes. I mean, the Brewers, like we just said, scoring 4 runs in the Padres series, then have to face the NL Cy Young winner who pitched like it.
Yeah. Little credit that I wanted to give was to Ortiz, who's been having a rough year, but he was 1 for 3. Got a double, his 7th of the year. He ended up scoring the 1 run that the Brewers etched across the board against Chris Sale, but it was Contreras with a 2-0 knock, his 25th of the year. So we I feel like we have to have a discussion about Savali with the recent news with Mizorowski and Savali kind of getting pushed to the bullpen is what the word on the street is.
Yep.
And he's not happy about it. It's a contract year for him. He's getting pushed. He's getting a demotion in a contract year. I mean, can't really blame anybody but yourself, honestly.
And honestly, I don't think he pitched bad in this game.
No.
But he's got it. We have to be able to get deeper.
Yeah, and the walk he's always had troubles with walks since coming over here too. So
he started off well. Like he had 2 strikeouts in the first inning. Both of them came on the curveball. He looked good. He's got 7 different pitches that he can throw. And the top of the 4th, the Braves got the first 2 batters on, bunted him over, which thanks to a nice play by Caleb Durbin still resulted in an out. And then he got a pop out and a strikeout. Like that's really good work. The only run that he directly gave up was the solo home run to Acuna, which he did give up a double, but DL Hall allowed that inherited runner to score. The first batter that he faced was Matt Olson, who's good. He's good. Yeah. It's just in Matt Olson's good at baseball. It was still helpful for DL Hall to give 3 innings, but he's in the bullpen for the same reason. We can't have starters going out there consistently, only going 4 2/3 innings. That's how the bullpen gets super burnt out, like we saw in May. Yeah, which causes problems for them. We have to have starters that can go deeper into games. Mizorowski has shown much more consistently that he can go 6-7 innings into games, and that's what the Brewers are going to be looking to get.
Yep.
And I still big Logan Henderson fan. His last outing, only 5 innings pitched. we need to be able to have guys that it doesn't have to be every single appearance, because obviously Freddie Peralta is another example when he's got games where he only goes 5 innings. But we have to be able to get deeper into games. And you look at the Brewers rotation. Savali's kind of that next man out. So I love the Brewers are giving Mizorowski a shot. It's going to be exciting. I cannot wait for tomorrow's game. But looking at the first game of the Braves series, Grant Anderson allowed the third home run of the day. All the home runs the Brewers gave up were 2-run home runs, and then 2 walks in the top of the 9th plus 2 singles gave the Braves their 7th run. This was the 3rd straight appearance for Grant Anderson allowing runs, and he was sent down last night in favor of Easton McGee, just to help, again, give the Brewers another arm to use in the bullpen.
Yep.
Like other guys, Grant Anderson got to get the walks down.
Yeah.
Of the Brewers' hits, 4 out of the 5 came in the 1st and the 3rd, and 1 in the 7th inning. They had 1 walk in the 5th, 1 walk in the 8th. The traffic was not stacked. And the only time that the Brewers had multiple guys on base, they scored. And that was the 3rd inning. The 1st inning, they had 2 guys get hits, but after Trio got his hit, he was caught stealing. So, again, even if that run scores, the Brewers lose 7-2 instead of 7-1.
Yep.
Is what it is. You mentioned Joey Ortiz. That game became his 3rd game of his hitting streak. And then last night became 4. So what stood out to you from last night's game?
Well, the big thing that stood out to me was Quinn Priester, because this guy has been freaking phenomenal. 61 of his 91 pitches were thrown for strikes, so he's just absolutely destroying the strike zone. His second quality start. He's now on a streak of 3 straight wins with starts, and 4 of his last 5 he's gotten a W, so 4-1 over his last 5 starts. 6 innings, 7 hits, an earned run, and 7 Ks. And this is coming in against a team that just knocked our pitching all over the ballpark the night before. So he comes in and really slows some things down. So I went and I wrote down a bunch of stuff on Quinn Priester today. Priester's 4 of his last 6 starts have been really, really solid. His last bad start was versus the Cubs on May 2nd, and that was when I was kind of expressing some things that maybe he wasn't. Maybe the trade was a little bit lopsided against the Brewers, and I'm happy to eat crow. That's fine with me. He's averaging. So this goes again: Houston, at Cleveland, versus Baltimore, at Pitt, at Philly, at Cincinnati, and versus Atlanta. So he's got a lot of road starts in there that he's absolutely doing a great job.
Some good teams, some bad teams, but
he's starting on the road, and Cincinnati still is a superstar player. Pittsburgh, bad team. Baltimore, good batting lineup, bad pitching. And at Cleveland's a decent team.
They're a good team.
So he's averaging
they were
5
innings when the Brewers played them too. They were like on a 13-game winning streak when the Brewers were playing them. So Cleveland was hot when the Brewers played them too.
Same thing with the Twins when we played them too. They were on fire too.
Yep.
So Quinn Priester's averaging 5.5 innings pitched per start, 3.7 hits, 1.42 earned run average over his last 7 starts, 1.42 walks, 3.7 Ks, so just say 4 Ks, 9 ground balls, and 6.5 fly balls. So the guy's getting ground balls, he's getting strikeouts, he's not allowing runs, he's controlling traffic when people get on. I mean, he's just doing a tremendous job. The 1.42 ERA over his last 7 starts is insane to me.
That's awesome.
Fucking bonkers, dude. 3 of his last 4 starts, he's only allowed 1 run, and he's went 6 innings in 3 of his last 4 starts as well. So he's doing a really, really nice job.
It was really cool seeing him rack up a bunch of strikeouts last night. He had 5 strikeouts to the first 3 innings. His slider looked great. The first run that he gave up was on soft contact, and many of the hits that he gave up were just soft contact.
Yep.
I mean, no DL Hall starting for him, no problem. His velocity, his spin, his break, they were all a tick up versus his season average. He had 5 whiffs on the slider, 6 whiffs versus his cutter, 15 total. That's fantastic stuff from Quinn Priester last night.
Yeah.
Seeing Jackson Chourio, he got a low slider over the plate, hit it out to dead center. It's his 6th home run off of a breaking ball, which makes me want to consider giving him a little break on swinging at ones off the plate. Because when Jackson Chourio hits breaking balls, he hits breaking balls. However, his batting average is .233, so it's kind of a double-edged sword here.
Yeah.
Do you let Jackson Chourio just hack away when he sees a slider coming in or curveball coming in because he hits dingers? Or do you say, hey, Jackson, we got to rein it in a little bit and potentially put a cap on his home run number a little bit?
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a double-edged sword there. To me, it's just continuing to work on his batted eye.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing with experience that should get better just in time.
Agreed.
Now, the Brewers last night got back to working counts and forcing the starter to throw a lot of pitches. He was at 51 pitches through 3 innings. That's where the Brewers need to be. Today is a much different story. We'll get there. Jake Bauers, he got ahead 2-0 in his count, got an account where he could sit fastball. StatCast originally had it at 399 feet. The fuck? Because it hit halfway between the top of the fence and the scoreboard, which the fence alone is 400 feet.
That was my first thought.
I'm like,
I was like, dude, the fence says 400. How could it be 399? You dumbasses.
Right? So the adjustment came in a little bit later. It was 434. It's like, okay, that sounds right.
That makes more sense.
Abner Uribe pitched such a quick 7th inning that he also got to pitch the 8th. Only took him 8 pitches to get through the 7th inning. So no balls left the infield. So he got to go pitch the 8th inning. Went out. He finished 2 innings pitched. Only took him 24 pitches. Gave up a hit and a walk and a hit and a strikeout and no walks. Joey Ortiz. So last night extended his hitting streak to 4 games, and he's showing some pretty good opposite field ability.
That's when he's at his best. Remember him last year?
So just do what works, bud.
Seriously, I knew you were going to bring that up, and I was waiting to say that. I had that in the holster ready to say. I was like, dude, last year when he was hitting the opposite field.
Yeah, and the single that he had last night and the double that he had the night before, use the opposite field, especially if they're going to give it to you. If they're going to skate towards the left side, if you're a right-handed batter, or even if they're playing straight up, use that corner. We saw Jackson Chourio do it today, and again, we'll get there. But I like what I'm seeing from Joey Ortiz with his approach a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Brewers got McGill back on track, and last thing, 4 continues to be that magic number.
Yep.
So, anything else you wanted to say on last night?
Nope. Well,
Okay.
Cardinals lost last night, so that was nice with the Brewers winning.
True. All right. What's up to you from today's game?
And talking about the Cardinals losing, the Cardinals and the Cubs both lost today, so today's loss does nothing bad for us.
Okay. That means the Cardinals got swept by the Blue Jays and have now lost 4 in a row.
And they're coming to Milwaukee. I mean, Sonny Gray's on the mound for them tomorrow, so hopefully with the juice from Mizorowski on the mound, hopefully the Brewers can get the series off to a good start. But we will talk about that next week. Actually, I won't. Tyler will be talking about that next week because I will not be here. But I will send my notes over to Tyler. But anyways, with today's game, Patrick on the mound. Now, Patrick has been tremendous. And he's getting a lot of buzz and a lot of talk from the Brewers social media team, lots of fans, obviously, well-deserved. He's been fantastic. Better than I or anybody thought he was going to be. Yep. There might have been one person on the planet that thought he was going to be this good right away, and it's probably just him.
I would throw in a couple of the Brewers pitching staff people, but,
okay, there's 5
people from the lab, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And Rick Sweet, the AAA manager.
Yeah, maybe that's probably it.
But smaller than a handful of people for sure.
He's been good. He got hit around a little bit, but again, the Braves have a good lineup. And Acuna Jr., I know we had a discussion about him. We're not going to talk about that now, but he's a really good player. Guy's a former MVP for a reason.
Yep.
He has power. He has speed. He has the flair. He is a good baseball player. Baseball is better when Acuna Jr. is healthy. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yep.
He did give up 3 walks. He also had 3 Ks. I'm talking about Patrick this time. 7 hits, 5 earned runs, but it is what it is. You're not gonna be good every single day.
This was the first time he gave up more than 3 runs in an appearance.
True. Nick Mears was good again, and McGee was just out there to eat some innings because we still have 4 more games to play in our 13 consecutive games. So other than that, I mean, Chourio, his second triple. Haas got his second double. Just 1 for 4 in runners in scoring position in this game. So Brewers didn't have a lot of opportunities to runners in scoring position. They've been struggling in that area for the last couple of games. Let's get that back a little bit. Hopefully we get good news on Yelly and he's back in the lineup tomorrow. But we cannot let their starter just dictate the game like he did today. I'm going to
Yeah,
let you take over now, but
yep. That's what
my
I was saying
God.
with last night. 51 pitches through 3 innings. They did not do that today.
No.
There was way too many innings where it was 1, 2, 3, and it took 7 pitches.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you let starters go deep into games, and today finish a game. So Jackson Churchill, that triple that he hit it to the right field line into the corner, and he didn't even start like running hard until he was halfway between first and second base.
I know, it was crazy.
It's like, dude, like obviously he wasn't going to score on that even if he was sprinting the entire time, but it's like he stood up on a triple on a ball that he jogged halfway. Like he was almost at a position where if he was sprinting that entire time, he probably could have rounded third, and if there was a bad throw, could have scored.
Yeah.
Now, the contact play didn't work. Again, you just mentioned being 1 for 4 with runners in scoring position. You have to take your chances when you can get them.
Yeah.
And you got to be aggressive if you're going to be aggressive. Had that conversation 100 times. Defensively, a little more fun. Sal Frelick started the game off. First batter of the game, had a web gem. First batter of the 4th inning, had another one. Both of them right along the fence. The first one sliding into the fence. The second one jumping up kind of over the pad, making the catch. So Sal Frelick, still very fun to watch, even when the Brewers are losing.
Yep.
It's the summer of Sal, as some are saying, but Sal Frelick's a stud. I'm going to talk more about him in a minute. Chad Patrick, like you said, the walks, the first 3 runs that he gave up, 2 of them came off the walks.
Yep.
One of them was the number 9 hitter. Again, this was the first time all year that Chad Patrick has given up more than 3 runs. So nobody's perfect. Chad Patrick's been pretty damn close, and he's been really, really, really good for a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
Brewers allowed 10 hits. All but 2 of them were singles. Those are the 2 home runs, and then the 4 walks, like you mentioned. And then the Brewers just did not run up the pitch count today.
Nope.
That's pretty much what my takeaways from today's game. Now, looking at next, the Brewers play 4 more games at home against St. Louis, and they are off Monday, and next week we will have just game 1 of the Cubs series. So 5 games next week. Jake's like he said he's going to give me his notes. Before we go, I just wanted to talk about something that Vinny Rattino, friend of the show, brought up with Sal Frelick's hitting profile and how it makes it hard on pitchers and just how well he sees the ball. So first off, he's very selective of the pitches that he even swings at. 70th percentile in chase percentage. He rarely swings and misses. He's in the 98th percentile for whiffs. When he does swing and miss, it's rare that it leads to strikeouts. He's in the 92nd percentile for strikeout percentage. And when he makes contact, it's usually solid. He's in the 84th percentile for squared up percentage. He also almost never gets fooled. He has 363 competitive swings compared to 5 swords. That's what Baseball Savant recognizes as a quote-unquote uncompetitive swing. They call them swords. If you've seen Pitching Ninja, he'll show you what a sword looks like.
Oh, yeah. Pitching Ninja is fun, dude. I love that guy.
363 competitive swings to 5 swords. I said this last week. I feel like him being shorter helps him keep his bat path in the strike zone longer. He does have a fairly flat swing. His attack angle is 8%. Major League Baseball average is 10 degrees, 8 degrees, not percent. StatCast's quote ideal path of degrees is 5 to 20. And then Sal Frelick has a 29% tilt, which is fairly low. The MLB average when I looked it up last was 32. His is 29, which basically just means that he keeps his shoulders a little more towards the same height, which again means that his bat is coming through the zone straighter. He doesn't have as much of an upwards swing. He doesn't dip his back shoulder and then have more of an upward swing, which would generate a higher launch angle. That's why he doesn't have a lot of pop. Not to mention his bat speed is lower, just again because he's a smaller guy. So with those things, if he dipped his shoulder a little bit more, it could raise his attack angle, create more upward swing, which might generate more power. But then you're talking about sacrificing contact. And for a guy like Sal Frelick, if he puts the ball on the ground anywhere, he's got a chance to reach safely.
True.
So Again, I just wanted to give Vinny Rottino a shout out for bringing it up because it does profile very well. Sal's batting .284. He's hitting very well, and he's giving Gold Glove defense. I just wanted to give a shout out to Sal for the end of the episode. Alrighty, so like I said, we'll have 5 Brewer games next week, not last week. Over the last 4 weeks, we have discussed what we believe the Milwaukee Bucks off-season prognosis looks like. We will continue to do so as we start to get near the beginning of free agency and the draft as that news comes out. Again, check your sources. Don't just go along with what ESPN is saying just because it's ESPN. They no longer get that benefit of the doubt because they need clicks more than they need quality.
Yeah.
We will continue to do the opposite and prioritize quality over clicks. Until then, keep telling your friends about Wisco Fanatics and keep tuning in. And we'll see you next week.